Succession is a show about terrible people.
I am surrounded by snakes and fucking morons!
You, man.
Oh. Wait, what am I doing? Ow! No! Stop, Tom! We're friends! You're one of my best friends!
The Roys repeatedly lie, cheat and abuse to achieve more money and more power, the only things that really matter to them. They're selfish, greedy and strangely enough some of the funniest characters on television.
Quick question, do you think he even knows what a jail is?
He literally only knows it from Monopoly.
Among them is Tom Wambsgans, who's married into the Roy family through daughter Shiv. Tom Wambsgans is both the darkest villain and most compelling hero of the series. The one person you can point to and say, that's probably how spineless I'd be if given vast wealth and unchecked power. So maybe he's not the most likeable guy. He hurls abuse at Greg, cheats on Shiv at his bachelor party, and destroys important documents to save himself in the cruise scandal. Even so, I think he's the best person in this horrific family. Maybe not the hero, but the closest thing we'll get from this show. Although Tom seems to have come from a fairly well-off family, it's made clear that he's not from the same world as the Roys. He enjoys being part of such a wealthy family, but will always be a bit of an outsider. His parents won't stop reminding people that they paid for the wine at his wedding, a gesture that his mother-in-law looks down her nose at. Seeing what cloth they're cut from, it's no surprise that he's often disrespected by the Roy siblings. When Roman makes last-minute changes to Tom's bachelor party, Tom's only two friends that are there become uninvited. In true Roy fashion, Roman condescendingly offers them money to get coffee. The men refuse, showing a level of dignity that's not very common in this world of private jets and exclusive pop-up warehouse parties. This shows clear contrast between the type of people Tom comes from and the type of people he now surrounds himself with. Unlike Kendall, Roman and Shiv, who are unfulfilled when things that they expect to be handed to them are not, he knows that he could be cast out at any moment, losing the wealth and power he's built up. When Shiv volunteers him to be the cruise scapegoat in season 2, Tom is so angry at the betrayal that he shows a rare moment of rebellion against the family.
What the fuck?
Moments like this help us build a connection to Tom. Laughing at this ridiculous scene makes us feel like we're in on the joke with him, sharing in the act of rebellion. Like Greg, he can be seen as a character for the audience to follow. He's often sitting on the sidelines or playing cheerleader for Shiv, not really having much influence on the events of the show. But this changes in season 3. After being treated like a doormat for years, he decides to take his life into his own hands. This transition from a weak outsider to a genuine threat taps into the same type of satisfaction we get from an underdog story, making Tom someone the audience can root for. Love is a difficult emotion for the Roys to express, as is any emotion that's not rage, in that they don't really feel it at all. Not for other people anyway, and not in a healthy way. Whereas Tom's love for Shiv does seem to be genuine, even though it comes with some less romantic perks. Tom's a team player, and willing to sacrifice his own wants and needs to make the marriage work. When Shiv proposes an open relationship on their wedding night, he forces himself to go along with it, and later when he expresses how unhappy he is, she basically laughs in his face. When Tom and Shiv sample the wine from their vineyard, it sends Tom into a bit of a spiral.
You kind of have to meet it halfway, right? It's
earthy.
Yeah.
Kind of Germanic.
Yeah, there's lots to unpack. It's not floral. It's not sugary or vegetal.
The bad wine mirrors their rotten marriage, and he can't meet it halfway, just like Shiv will never meet him halfway. Throughout season 3, Tom slowly realises that his marriage was never a real partnership. Shiv isn't loyal to their relationship and throws him under the bus whenever it suits her. She puts his name forward as the potential scapegoat and doesn't even seem relieved when they find out no one will actually need to go to jail after all. The final nail in their marriage's coffin is when the Roy kids are planning to overthrow Logan, and it's clear that Tom's position in this hasn't even crossed Shiv's mind. After being a reliable team player throughout their marriage, he realises she'll never put him before herself. He was willing to go to prison for her family, and the only person who shows any thanks is Logan, who's smart enough to know that Tom is a valuable asset. For now, anyway. It's with this realisation that he finally gives up on his marriage and decides that the best side to be on is Logan's. Ironically, by ruining his marriage with Shiv, he becomes a true Roy. Tom's best feature might be his friendship with Greg, the cousin who forces his way into the family at the beginning of the show. In a kind of twisted way, they're two kindred spirits. The outsiders, who are at first just clinging onto their positions in the Waystar Royco family. Tom promises to look after Greg, and in his own way he kinda does. He takes him under his wing, but also uses him as a punching bag the way the Roys have used Tom. Another example in a long list that shows the cycles of abuse in this show. Even in these moments though, he's more open with Greg than with his own wife. Some of the few honest moments in the show are Tom confiding in Greg. Be it about potentially ending up in prison or, you know.
And then I splooge in her mouth, you know, and get this. She kisses me and puts it back in my mouth, and I swallow. Which, the cum?
He's also the only one who sees that Greg is a bit of a dark horse early on, which is probably what solidified the egg as a vital ingredient in his Tomlet.
You're a fucking slime ball.
They've both witnessed, and sometimes been victims of, the viciousness of the Roys in their fight for power, and now their best bet is to stick together.
Greg, what do you know about Nero and Sporus?
Nero and
Sporus. Greg, yeah. Sporus was a young slave boy. He was Nero's favorite. You know what Nero did to him?
Nero and Sporus. This is not IP I'm familiar with.
Well, Nero pushed his wife down the stairs, and then he had Sporus castrated, and he married him instead. And he gave him a ring, and he made him dress up like his dead wife.
Wow. Plot twist. Didn't see that coming.
I'd castrate you and marry you in a heartbeat.
In the world of Succession, Tom Wambsgans is turning out to be the hero we didn't know we needed. He's gone from an outsider who lets his wife walk all over him, to maybe the most powerful character in the show, and no one really saw him coming. There are surely more twists to come, but the final season should see some catharsis for the audience, as the two most relatively normal characters seem set to steal the kingdom from under the Roy's noses.